Welcome to the Out on a Limb podcast. We are all interconnected to a greater web of consciousness. Our aim is to open your mind to a new world through having open-minded discussions about what we perceive our reality to be.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out on a Limb podcast with your hosts Will and Allison and Samantha, where it is time for our February card readings for everyone and for the month.
I didn't know readings had that many syllables.
I know, I'm hearing a reading.
Well, I'll tell you, I say it like that because I hope February is a little bit more toned down than January was.
Well, have you seen the recent memes? Boy, January has been a long year.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
but see, what's weird is for some people, January has been so incredibly long.
Yeah.
And for other people,
Short.
Me, I don't know what happened. It's gone.
It went fast, but it wasn't without a bang.
It wasn't about leaving a mark.
Tune into another episode because we'll be talking about that
We
soon.
are. That'll be our next episode probably after
Yeah.
this one. A rehash of January. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what's in store for February. But if we recall, in January, if I remember, it was
don't.
about Christ consciousness coming in.
Oh.
And that has happened. There are lots of people coming into our awareness, or at least mine, that are already in 5D. So the first wave of ascension is happening. We're in the midst
Yeah.
of it. We did a channeling last night, and,
Yes.
and they said, we are in the midst of it. So,
So if you start to see,
right.
I almost had to choose my words, but if you happen to see some strange shit out there with your fellow friends and neighbors and colleagues, well, they might be on the other side. They might
Or
be
if you're not
floating
relating
around
to
that fifth
people, or
dimension.
they're not relating to you, or you're not
Right.
understanding what they're saying anymore.
But we're going to talk about that in the next.
So, yeah. So our January reading was accurate. So let's see what happens today with the February reading. And I have 2 new card decks that I got over Christmas.
Yes, you did.
A dragon one,
Yay.
and sadly, I
Sadly.
haven't had a chance to look at them until
I
today.
know, right? I was like, wait, what?
And then the Divine Master from Kyle
Wait,
Gray.
that one's new?
It is new. It looks like
Oh.
the other one. It does look like.
I said the same thing. I said, that one's new? Wait, no, we have that one already, but no, it's.
We have a different one from Kyle Gray, I think.
We do. We
it's
do.
similar, but not the same.
He just likes those colors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I haven't looked at either of these yet. This will be the first time I see them, let alone give a reading from them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't want to go first because of that.
Oh, my God.
Well, if we're doing
Well,
this,
let the
I
ex-
need,
we
I
haven't
need a
even.
shuffle.
We'll let the expert go first.
I'm the expert.
You
Right.
are.
Oh
You're
my
the-
God.
You do this as a career.
But like expert? Is anyone truly an expert?
Right?
Okay,
Why
so
is this one so stuck?
I am currently
Because you haven't
weird.
used it before.
teaching my Zen Tarot class and having so much fun doing it. And one of the things that I've talked about is I don't believe in upside down cards because it came originally from playing cards, and you'd never know if they were upside down or not.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
I just don't feel the need.
That's a good
I also don't do the whole,
Sorry.
I can do it on my side.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, he wants them all in a row.
Nope, you can slide it over.
And the other one is when people do the spazzy shuffles. I know they love the spazzy shuffles.
Yeah.
I don't like,
What's a spazzy shuffle?
Where you just.
and then
yeah,
things
yeah.
go flying.
Right, and then they pick up all the ones that have flown out, and I know.
I wonder if they do that on purpose
I've
to
been-
make them fly out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been watching a couple people on TikTok, and they're all like,
And I'm just, I
it looks like
can't.
popcorn going everywhere.
Yeah, well, and the sound is really loud and harsh. It's not calm and inviting, and
Right.
and maybe it gets the energy going. I
It is
suppose.
kind of entertaining though, to watch.
Yeah, it is, but I'm OCD, and I'm like, if I have cards flying out all over the place, I'm gonna feel so undone.
Right.
So-
Normally I would just shuffle like that, but since this is new and they're all in order, I thought I would give it a few
Yeah, I can't.
Las Vegas shuffles.
So how do I know which one to pick? I feel a magnetism towards it.
Do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Thank you for teaching our
I
viewers.
usually spread it out and then I'll find it, or I'll just take the top
Yeah.
10 cards and just lay them out, because I'm going to be guided on what to say.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good point.
Correct.
Always going to work out.
And
Right.
forgive myself and Allison in advance if we happen to have a little bit of a cough. We just recently got over a flu, I guess you would say. And that was part of the month
The
of
flu
January.
is back with a vengeance. Everybody I know is sick. It's awful.
I like mine.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So this is for the month of February from Samantha's
February.
deck. Oh, let me put that down. Which deck do you have?
I have The Universe Has Your Back.
Okay.
Should I start?
Yeah. And your card is called?
Goodness.
Okay.
Can I repick?
No,
Yikes.
you can't see this, but it says, there is nothing sexier than my authentic truth.
Wow. Wow.
Sexy.
That'll go up on the screen.
authentic
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys,
Truth.
with February being the month of, we always think of it as the
True.
month of love and all that
Oh,
kind of
good point.
stuff. I'm looking at the colors and stuff, but I feel like what's happening is we're going through what is that, thresher? Like
Oh, yeah,
separates
yeah.
the wheat from the chaff
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of things that was going on with astrology and with our, with our charts and just personal experiences and what's going on, to the collective and everything, that so much of it is getting us to step into the path that, to define what it is we truly want, the path that we really want to move forward on this year.
yeah.
So when I read this, there's nothing sexier than my authentic truth. I think it's all about me. No, me and everyone else, because this is going to be the month of falling in love with yourself, expressing that, that your truth, that, like, as my friend Diana always says, damn it, you matter.
Right.
Your values, the way you see things, your perception, it matters. And that all adds, like authenticity, people throw that around so much, but authenticity, it's you living your truth and expressing it as such, whether anybody else agrees to it or not. So, so there's nothing sexier than my authentic truth. Absolutely. So I hope you guys all allow the barriers to just fall away, and you allow yourself to step into that which is your truth, not because it's popular, not because it's the way your family's always, believed or felt or, whatever, but that it is 110% you.
No.
Love that.
That's all I got to say.
Now my card actually makes more sense. So
Okay,
yeah.
good. You do yours next then. Go ahead. Give me some more time.
Well, you threw
might
it.
as
No, yeah, it's fine. So I'm using The Soul's Journey by
James Van Praagh.
James Van Praagh. And death.
I love that card.
The death card.
The
Dun,
death,
dun,
right.
dun.
And I'll just read it
never
and
means
then
death.
go into it. But
Right.
There is no such thing.
I'm learning that endings are merely beginnings. And this ties so well into what Samantha was saying. We can, as we alluded to earlier, as far as the month of January and how rough that was, I think we went through that period of releasing and death, and not death in a physical manner, but more of a purging, releasing, and surrendering to all of the. Okay. So all of the it happened. I see you in my peripheral over there. It's all of the culmination of what has taken place in the last 12 months. So the last year, and all of the cycle of politics and all of the minutia that went along with that. It's been piling on and piling on and piling on. And now January is kind of like where we've taken that breath. And as you were saying, it's that Christ consciousness that we're stepping into, but we have to release. We can't hold on to anything any longer. So we're releasing through death, through purging, through clearing. And even for us, we've had those moments of illness in our body. And well, that's purging and clearing. It's opening pathways. So that leads into that authentic self, because what's left after death is your authentic self. So, for February, as we step off into February, it is releasing and I'll even say releasing everything that has been kind of compiled on over the last 12 months, setting it all off to the side, forgetting about it, and now truly stepping into the authentic self, where your voice matters, you matter, your presence, your energy, all of it matters in this divine equation that we all exist in. And death isn't something to be afraid of or have fear of. It actually should be welcomed, because, as the card says, it is a new beginning. It is a new beginning to look forward to, and that's what everyone is stepping off into, finding that authentic piece of self. So
Lovely. You said the divine equation that we all belong to. That was
Intense.
gorgeous. That was gorgeous, because we
Bumper
are.
sticker.
All 8 billion of us on the planet are here purposefully, and we all matter. We're all ascending. We are all part of that divine equation, helping humanity ascend. That's beautiful.
Well, what I also like about that, of course, something ties in. I listened to a little bit of woo-woo on the way up, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, done. But it was Ann Coulter talking about, she was relating her latest angelic, channeling. And
Who?
Ann Coulter?
Not Ann
Ann Coulter.
I was
I'm like,
that's
wait
a
a minute.
When did she go woo woo?
Yeah, and I don't
wrong
even
realm.
like her. Oh my God. Ann, what's her name?
And what is her last name?
Uh-oh.
And
Oh my God, I am so sorry.
as soon as
If
we
Ann
stop
ever
thinking
comes
about it,
across
it'll
this.
pop up.
Okay, so she channels the angelics.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could have sworn it was that. Anyway, so she was saying that that we're going to do. The collective is going to do this breathing in and this collective release, this sigh, this release. And then that's when we were like accepting and moving into the 5D. So you just happened to say, you kept saying about breathing out and releasing.
yeah.
And, it's all part of that allowance.
Interesting.
very cool. All right. So
I like your dragon
our
cards.
dragon is Archangel Gabriel's dragon.
Ooh.
And it represents purification. Self-discipline will speed ascension and bring joy. You can carry Archangel Gabriel's diamond. And you can kind of see from the card, when we'll put it up on the screen, there's a diamond, looks like in his heart. Is that right? Right at the heart of the dragon?
That looks, is that a Herkimer?
Let me see.
Maybe so.
Looks like a Herkimer diamond.
Is it double terminated?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it. Interesting.
So this is a beautiful way to tie everything together that you all just said. Essentially, we are purifying through, really, I think it was trial by fire, to be honest with you. From last year into this year and 2025, and everything that is not resonating with your authentic self is going to need to be gone through the death cycle, through this purification. I feel like all of us who have been sick this month are going through the purification of our bodies, but purifying the energetic piece of us so that we can step into the fullness of our clean, whole, authentic selves in February and beyond. And so Gabriel's also bringing to our attention that self-discipline will speed that process up. So if you're being pushed into a corner, like many of us are, and you're dragging your feet, if you're getting hits about changing your diet, for example, and you're dragging your feet about it. I was just having a joke with a friend about Pop-Tarts. We wanted to eat Pop-Tarts. And whether we should or whether we shouldn't. But the self-discipline, as hard as it seems, Gabriel says will also bring joy. Because once you step into that authentic, full self, you don't realize what you're missing. You know how we don't know what we don't know? You also don't realize what you're missing until you have it. And so it was really interesting because last night we did a channeling and they were talking about the need for the event wave. The event wave has not come yet, but the first wave of ascension is underway. And so they said that the event wave is always this possible option. It's not a guarantee because we might be able to ascend completely without it. And so they said, as that first third of humanity starts to ascend, if it causes an imbalance in the energy, excuse me, and people start to look at those that have already ascended into 5D and they start to resist or they're hesitant, like don't resist is what we're saying here. But if they start to resist and we start to backslide some as humanity's consciousness, if we don't continue this forward momentum, then the energetic event may need to wash over us to open our eyes to what we're missing. So the point is, we need to be able to see, and we often don't see what we're missing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you don't know what you're missing by just sacrificing a little bit. Like sacrifice that Pop-Tart and you don't know what's going to be on the other side of it, right? So purification is the name of the game. Call on Gabriel if you need assistance, and use your self-discipline.
I'm curious about the backsliding. Like, why would people, when they see people going up into a higher dimension, what did they say? What would cause that resistance?
I think it's the observation of those that have been or have already ascended, but yet they still have a foot here in the fourth.
Oh, right.
Right,
Right.
and those that have ascended have a hard time adjusting here, so it can look to be a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm already ascended, but I can't put it all together. I'm having a struggle. So
Right.
think if you were going to go do some sort of, I don't know, some sort of obstacle course. And you have a perception of what that obstacle course is, but you get there the day of and you see everybody going through it and you see how
And the first ones going through are struggling.
they're just
Yeah.
struggling like all get out, and you're like, yeah,
Because-
maybe I'm not ready for this.
Because moving into 5D is not
Okay.
going to be automatically everything is perfect. You're still kind of they said that you're still kind of straddling 4 and 5 until you're completely and comfortably in 5D. And so we know there are a lot of people out there in 5D right now who aren't completely ascended yet, and they're having a difficult time because they have all this new access to information, and they have to hold down a job, for example, or put food on the table for their kids or whatever, and it's really challenging to continue in the 3D minutia when you're seeing the glory of the 5th dimension. You're like, why do I have to continue to do this stuff? Or I can't do this stuff. I don't want to do that.
I was taking it from a different perspective. I'm so glad you said that, because that helped me. But what from the perspective of, if I'm having a hard time struggling in 3D and I see these people in 5D who are like feeling really good. They're not
Yeah.
getting bothered by things. They're more in balance, which is a
Right.
situation I'm in with someone really close to me right
Oh,
now.
okay, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like they're upset that I'm not getting off balance, that I'm not getting outraged, that I'm not. And so that kind of makes me think, I know that I'm in a different space. I don't know that I'm, anywhere near 5D or whatever, but I know that I'm in a different space
Yes.
from, and I never wanted to be in a separate space from this person.
Sure.
And yet I am.
I-
And I think they're struggling. There's resistance because it's like, you've just lost your mind, instead of, like, I don't care anymore, where I do care deeply.
Yeah.
It's just, I recognize, what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point, because I've said this over, and I have full transparency in everything that I do. I struggle with that myself, between myself and Allison. Allison will fully trust and fully allow the universe to guide every action. And I struggle with that. And so when I see that, and she's just all, and it's not like it's all, flower rings around the head and just all la la, but it's this perception that I see of just everything's okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but we still have to do
what
these
if? What
things.
if? What
Right,
if?
what if? And so I do find myself struggling with that and toiling with that, because for me, I know that I'm divinely connected, and I know the work that I do is impactful. And we were just having this conversation before you came, before you drove up. But it comes down to, it is coming down to just trusting the process, I guess you would say. And sometimes it's hard to trust the process.
Really hard.
Really hard. And I struggle with that. And I see Allison trusting the process, and her perception of it is, oh, it's so easy. But She doesn't
It
tell,
is kinda easy.
but she doesn't tell very easily either. So she's a great poker player when it comes to hiding the struggles that are actually taking place, which in a for our relationship is perfect, because if you were to lose your shit as much as I lose my shit, we would really be in a world of hurt. So
I have a higher threshold
Right.
before, like, I don't stuff things down if they
No.
bother me, but things don't typically bother me much. I mean, I just let things go
Right.
and I trust.
Yep.
You get
So-
annoyed at things and you just point out, this is what annoys me. And then you get rid of the annoyance. Like you just go, no more of this.
yeah. So it's
So if I lose my shit, then he knows we're in trouble.
We're taking on water. It's listing pretty hard. It's time to put on the life jackets and bail, because it's rough. It's a rough sea right now. So yeah.
But just so
I
fascinating.
think for people who are going to witness others in 5D, those first few may struggle for a little bit.
Yeah.
And, even when you're in an uncomfortable marriage, for example, but you don't know what's on the other side, and you're like, maybe I'll just stick it out because this is better than being alone, or this is better than the unknown, the uncertainty. At least I'm here in a
Yep.
marriage and I have a partner that I can depend on if I need to, even though we don't get along or whatever. So the people in 3D might be looking at it, or 4D, thinking, I don't know what's over there. Maybe I do want to keep a foot in the 3D. I know this routine.
Yeah.
I understand. I get up in the morning, go to my job, I come home. I know my routine, but I don't know what's on the other side. And
Yeah.
so they were insinuating that would cause
Are you thinking that they're
some
thinking
resistance.
that consciously about it?
No.
No.
I think
Okay.
I got the impression that they were talking about as a consciousness. Our
Yeah.
consciousness would be backsliding some.
Yeah.
So I don't, you're right. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't think it's a conscious decision.
It's just
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. And that was another
Yeah.
thing that Anne, what's her last name, said. That,
Tucker.
Tucker, there we go. Well,
I know.
Coulter's really right and Tucker's really right. So, so then we got Ann Tucker. Okay.
That's
Right.
hilarious.
And Tucker.
But anyway, but they were saying that we were literally born of the element of change. Humans were meant to come in and express contrast, which is never ending freaking change. And yet
Right.
we resist it so. And yet when we get to the other side, we're like, I'm so much stronger for this. I'm so much better off for this.
Right.
Okay, granted,
You know-
it can suck for a long time, but generally there are bonuses.
And here's the thing. It's interesting. You bring up so many interesting points. It's like,
So we keep her around.
right. I mean, and I'm kind of speaking to my fellow veterans that might be listening out there, those that have served for one tour or a lifetime. But military life is nothing but change. So you become accustomed to continual change. From day to day operations, yes, you have a routine, but even in that routine, there's so many chances for change that you just never really know. So you always
Adapt and overcome. Is
right. You
better.
adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Well, when you integrate, and that's the hardest thing about integrating back into the civilian side of things, is the consistency. And it is this consistency. And then when change happens, it's like a whirlwind. It's like, I don't know what to do because I'm so used to doing this repetitious thing. I don't want to do that because now that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where before you just lived an entire career of being uncomfortable, of change all the time.
Yeah.
And so, it brings me to a point of trying to figure, well, how do I induce more change into my life? Do I want to do that though? But
Do we want to? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Right.
do whatever's uncomfortable. Well, like for me,
and I try to take those things on, the uncomfortable challenges. I do. I like those things. So
I remember when I switched colleges and I went to Auburn University, and I started in January. So I knew no one. It was the middle of, I'd missed football season, bonding time, all that. kind of thing.
yeah.
And I am sitting there at a traffic light, Toombs Corner or whatever. And I'm sitting there, Toomer's Corner, sorry. And I'm like, I know no one. I know not of what I am doing. I'm sitting there just thinking, I'm cold it's winter. I don't know anyone. Why am I here? Why am I putting myself through this? And I asked that of the universe. And I was like 19 at the time or 20. And the answer came back to me. It's because you love change. You love the challenge. You love to find your little deli, your little supermarket, your little pharmacy. You thrive on going into a new environment and adapting to that environment and then finding another environment. And I realized that when I was really young, that's just kind of my groove.
Your MO, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just, but I'm Aries, and so we're not stopped.
But you were talking about
Everything about me. So.
humans, that is our thing. Humans, starting from the Big Bang, everything is going to expand
Yeah.
and grow and create. That is what we're here to do, is to create and grow. And
Yeah.
the expansive quality of humans.
And not in gentle, subtle ways, generally speaking.
Right. So change is our middle name. That's what we're here
I mean,
for.
growth or change, that it implies a disruptive moment. It might be, just a quick flash, or it could be, a year or two. I mean, it could be one of those moments. I mean, think of what a dark night of the soul is, right? I mean, that's a deep change, and it's from a divine point all the way through, and it's very disruptive.
And we were just talking about this in our origin story 12-week class, where this idea of death, where death happens, it clears the pathway for something new.
Right.
Without it, you can't create, because you can't keep creating something new on top of the old junk. The junk has to clear away. The purification
Right.
process, the death process makes room for the new beautiful things to come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we're back to you.
I'm going to start.
You started, yeah, we're going to go.
Well,
Oh, geez.
Same order, right?
So I've got 2 cards because I kept hearing piggyback, that I was supposed to pick another card. That's
Yeah.
what I don't typically say piggyback,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Now,
like,
this is for someone,
Someone in the
or
audience.
some people in the audience. Yep.
Okay, so the first one I chose, I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because I can't take this card seriously. Because it is a lizard. I think it's on top of crystals or something. It just,
Interesting.
How funny.
yeah.
And I love the pose.
Yeah, so he's hugging, he's doing something to the crystals.
Right.
There's something happening there. So I was just kind of going, like, are they laughing at me? But it did get me to pick another card,
Sure.
which makes sense. Okay, so this is the lizard dream time. So apparently there's a connection there. Who is the person who does this? Stephen Farmer. He's a PhD, so he must be for real.
Right.
Anyway, he was inspired to put some kind of gloopy stuff underneath. Anyway, so pay attention to your dreams and visions. Okay, so a lot of us are getting a lot of messages within our dreams, and a lot of times it feels different. Pay attention to when you sit there and go, wait, that wasn't just a normal dream. There was something interjected. Like I've had, a lot of us have had visitations from, spirit, or usually, someone, a loved one that's come to visit, and that's not a dream. Like all time and space stops. You're in an envelope and you feel it. But there's also the kinds of dreams like I've had where I've had, I guess, galactic beings, some source, whatever, come to me and then take me somewhere and show me and instruct me things. But it can be even more subtle than that, but it's not just part of a regular dream, or there's a pattern that keeps recurring. So pay attention to those things, because they're messages. They're trying to get you to become aware of something. And you may go, well, what am I supposed to do with this knowledge? Like I tell people in readings, if this doesn't resonate right now, just set it aside, hold on to it, because it may make sense, and it generally does later on. So pay attention to your visions, dreams and visions. And then the piggyback card was the lion, ask for what you want.
Ooh.
And so for me, there were 2 meanings that I was getting out of this. One is ask for those dreams that like Suzanne, our friend Suzanne, she typically says, okay, night school, I want to do night school tonight, you guys, bring me in, show me what I need to know, and let's go forward with this. So there's that. And then there's also, in the dream, stop. Like once you recognize that this feels different, then throw it out there. You're right at that perfect timing space to sit there and go, okay, like a lot of people have touchstones. Like I think my husband has a light switch that he'll flick.
Oh.
And that's how he knows he's
Oh,
now
right.
aware in his dream.
Interesting.
Because he intentionally flicks the light switch.
You've watched what's the movie Inception way too much.
Oh, maybe that's where he got it from. I have no idea.
A totem, just to have a totem to make you realize that you're actually now
When
in
we
the dream.
did the lucid dreaming
Yeah.
with Chris Cuniff, he talked
talked
about
about
listening for sirens or something.
Yeah.
Well, so the lion is about courage. The lion is about going beyond, just day-to-day life, what feels safe and comfortable. There's a greater truth out there for all of us. And it's time to step up and have the courage to ask and see what gets delivered to you.
Love it.
Love
Love
it.
the courage lion
Yep.
aspect. Okay. Which deck did
And
you?
he does look like he's looking over at the lizard going,
Yeah.
dude, what
Dude,
are you doing?
He's sucking up the energy of those crystals is what he's doing.
Yeah, that's...
I am using.
So lay on crystals too. That was the other part of the message.
Oh.
Whoever needs to hear
Under
that.
your mattress maybe or your pillow.
Right.
Well,
something.
he's just right on
He's just
top
hanging
of
on
them.
him.
Well, you can lay down
But,
and put
yes.
one on your heart or your solar plexus or whatever. Yeah.
This is psycho. Hello. Psychic tarot.
Okay.
Psycho
I
tarot.
would love
By
to
John
make
Holland?
a psycho deck. Like not psycho based off the mood, just a psycho, like people just going, ah!
Right.
Anyway.
By John Holland. Goodness. This one is Solitude. It's interesting because kind of has the. I'm not familiar with the classic tarot, but this is the number 9 card, and it has a.
Oh, number 9.
Yeah, and it has a. What would you call that? A
The tower.
tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Tower usually indicates transformation, things coming to light.
Yeah, and that's what that's when I first saw this, and I saw solitude. Someone out there, and it's almost resonating with me a bit, where this it's within solitude that you truly find yourself, or you find what you're seeking. And I like it because it does tie into the dream state, because when in that dream state, you're in solitude, you're in that creative seeking mode, and so for whoever this might connect to for February, take this month to find those moments of quiet, solitude, those points of non-distractible time, meaning you're not distracted by the chore list, you're not distracted by anything. Don't do this while you're driving or doing some other activity. Set aside specific time to find the solitude within. And it's interesting because we just did for my good friend Ian Morris, we've had him on before. I've been doing a monthly series for him, doing a channeling, and this month was heart energy. And here too, it was about creativity. It was about the creative forces that we hold within us, and it is going within, and it talked about going within and finding that within self. And again, that goes back to solitude. So someone out there is definitely at a precipice of change, and you're not going to be able to find that change unless you find that moment of solitude. It's eluding you because you're resisting that moment of quiet, because you're afraid of the answers that might be shown to you. So you have to, and I think this plays into the death card and all of what we talked about previously, is we have to take those moments of knowing that everything is going to be okay. Everything is divinely planned for you, but you have to be willing to take that moment for self to really go inward, deep inward. And this isn't just a surface, okay, I'm going to take and spend 15 minutes for myself today. No, this is an extended period over this month where you go to seek. And we bring up Suzanne and the schoolhouse, or whatever it is, what her saying is.
Night school.
Night school. This is your this is the teaching that you're seeking. So you owe it to yourself to find that solitude, that quiet, that depth of your own self to reveal those answers to yourself.
And she's holding a book open.
Yeah.
So it's
You'll see these cards when I put them up, but yeah.
it's implying that this book will open up within, the wisdom
Yeah.
will open up within when you go into solitude.
Well, and it makes me think, there's so many people right now, they're actively seeking out distractions.
Yes.
So they do not have to face what's within them.
Yes.
Or what's happening around them. They're it's just distraction. Whatever you can do to not have to deal with the inner world.
And the new year is, we look at the new year as being something that, okay, we set our resolutions for the year. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do all these things. Those are, yes, they're for betterment of yourself, but you're also compiling on a lot of things that are to distract you truly from the beauty of who you are. So maybe it is to take an inventory of what those distractions are. Write them down. I mean, as you go throughout your day, what steals your time? I know what mine is. And I mean, and begin to set those things aside and you'll begin to hear that inner voice. You'll begin to hear that inner voice again. You'll begin to hear that divine voice that is you speaking to you, telling you what you really need to be doing. So,
That's really, really interesting. Huh, okay. I'm trying not to, because we're going to talk about stuff
Right.
yeah.
next, and so I don't want to.
Jump into it and
But I will say this much, because without going into all of that, isn't it interesting how we go through all of the stress that we do, November, December, money, family, career, endings, beginnings, whatever, am I going to introduce this person to my family? Am I going to propose?
Right.
Will I have enough Christmas Santa gifts for the kids?
Right.
And you go through all of this stuff, and then January hits, and what do? Well, I weigh too much. I ate too much. It's like psychotic. You're right. It's psycho.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, right.
But it is psychotic how we do that to ourselves.
And I was thinking about that because, again, not to get too deep into it, but again, I was thinking about it before we started earlier this morning. The year is this ebb and flow of, highs and lows, like life is. And you're right. As you near the end of the year, you're just like, we're at the end of the year, so I'm just gonna take it all in. And then the new year hits, you're like, oh, fuck.
You beat yourself. And I think it takes until spring before we're kind to ourselves.
It's usually about April where it finally goes, oh, okay, everything's I made it through.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Plus the weather. The weather really brings me down. I have to have
Well, and
sun
here in South
warmth.
Carolina, for those that watch us from South Carolina, you know what we just went through here in coastal South Carolina with the 5 or so inches of snow. That kept everybody in for a week. So
We went from that to 70s.
70s, right. It's like 75 outside right
We're
now.
all sick with the flu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so this is another new deck that I haven't explored yet, and it's by Kyle Gray, the Divine Masters. And I
the
do
one
not
I have.
You have
Yes. Yeah.
this.
The Divine Masters.
Oh, okay, and I don't know this Divine Master. Actually, I've never heard of him. But you can see the card on the screen. DJWAL, Jual, Cool, KUHL, and he represents divine mission. Excuse me. Enlightened action, making choices from the heart. So even though this is for someone out there individually, this is going along with this theme of February, which is heart-centeredness. And it goes along with authenticity and enlightenment and ascension. All of that originates in the heart space. And so in everything that we do, we have to get out of the mind and drop into the heart and make all of our decisions from there, even if it seems not to make sense, because the sense making is coming from the mind, the left brain. The heart knows the answer. The heart is the one that makes the decision immediately. That's your first thought or your first inclination. And then everything that comes after that is from the mind talking you out of it or talking you into it, or why should I or shouldn't I make that action? So this divine master is talking about your divine mission. In order for you to step into that divine mission for 2025, it's got to be authentic and heart-based. That's where you're going to find your enlightenment. That's where you're going to find fulfillment and evolution and all the beautiful things that you came here to do and accomplish and to be. So remember to stay into the heart space. It's so easy to remember that in February, really, because it's such a month that is
Heart-centered.
themed around the heart in all ways.
I'm just going to read you because I happen to
something else
I
good?
just happen to open the book right to that.
There might be something else that needs to
Well,
be
just
said, then, yeah.
but it goes along with the lines that you're saying. But the message that he provides is with this card, you're being guided to know that your current situation is an opportunity to evolve as a spiritual being having a human experience. It's that little phrase that we always say, right? And it is so true. I mean, it is an opportunity to evolve, and I think that's what's most important. And that goes with any of these cards. This is what we've talked about for this month is evolution. It's evolution of self. It's releasing from all of the constraints that we've put upon ourselves throughout the last year and releasing from all of that, because 2025 is poised to be a very prosperous and pivotal year for us. So we can't take flight if we've got ourselves bound to the earth. So we have to let some of that weight go. We gotta let it go.
So whoever's struggling out there with whatever the situation is, I think what Will was saying is the point is don't look at it as a struggle. As much as it is a struggle, view it as an opportunity, right? An evolution.
Yeah.
What's on the other side will be better
Most
and
definitely.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
I did want to touch on a different topic. I don't know why this is floating into my head, but it's something else and brought up. I don't think she's brought it up on the podcast, but we've talked about it in person. And I have to ask her because this is about the podcast.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Were you not telling me that you were going to put the podcast up for an award?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think it
Talk
comes
about
out.
that, because the reason I bring this up is it just popped in as we're going through all this stuff, is because to really share this with everyone that you know, share this podcast with everybody that you know, and get that information out there, and in doing so, it also brings light to some new guests that we can have on board. So the more we get out
And the
there.
algorithm brought us Kaylee.
Right.
Who was a marvelous guest. We had a good conversation, and
Yeah.
we heard a lot of good feedback. Some of the comments were so long that they sent me an email instead of putting it out
Yeah.
on the podcast itself, but about this AI piece. And so we're going to get into that a little later in February more deeply, but how viewing AI from a different perspective, from a spiritual conscious perspective,
Yep.
can change AI because you're feeding it something different, right?
Yep.
But yeah, we are, I am going to put the podcast up. I think it's in April. There's an award. I don't remember the name of it because we're also doing some awards for our
Different books.
last book that we did, the anthology. But yeah, I'll put it in and see what happens in the podcast category.
Well, because the thing is, when we said we were going to do this, we're just like, oh, this will be a cool idea. This will be great. Like
Right.
we really wanted to, the whole fly on the wall kind of have these conversations,
Yep.
let other people hear the conversations. And then we find out from the people that we've been interviewing that this is a very different format. Like, of course, there's lots of people who sit around and do this. And it's like, no, there's usually one person interviewing someone else or, or someone just speaking and teaching or whatever, whereas
Right.
we're sitting here having these discussions.
It's more
these,
conversational.
yeah, and it's, it's really grab a cup of coffee, tea, glass of wine whenever you're watching it and join in the conversation.
Yeah, right. And it's a window into our lives, which, we've always said that we'll be as transparent as we can be. And, this, just like with any relationship, just like with any conversation, when you're transparent and you're open, it allows the other person to say, oh, you know what? I see that in my life and I see how they've come through it. So it's really not that bad. or maybe these are some
Or
tools
I'm
I haven't
okay.
tried, or I'm okay. Exactly. Or I'm okay. So, and that's really what we've wanted to do from kind of the beginning. And it isn't to change anybody, but it is just to give an insight into our thought process, because so much of conversation is missed because of screen time. We got to put the phone in front of our face and just get locked into screen time. I'm guilty of it. I'm the first one to admit it. But when you have conversations and you open these conversations up to just let them flow. I mean, yeah, we have topics, and a lot of times we don't stick with every single.
No, we get on rabbit holes. That's what's
right,
fun.
and that's what's beautiful
Off
because
tangent.
Exactly, and that's what I love about and it's one of these things where the morning can start off just kind of like blah and just cruddy. But when we come up here and sit behind here and know that we're going to have a great conversation, it changes.
When I arrive.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The mood lightens.
Right.
Well, it just, I don't know, because it's, you guys talk all the time, but then having somebody else
Yes.
Right.
interject, and I have no one to, well, I mean, I do have some
Sure.
really amazing people now.
Yes.
And it's because of you guys that my world has like literally opened up.
Expanded, yeah.
Yeah, but whenever we get together, we riff and we have these insights and these awarenesses that embolden us even more to be who we are. And it's just,
And what I was going to say with the algorithm that brought us Kaylee is the algorithm is influenced by you all putting hitting the thumbs up and commenting, which we love. We love that. Thank you so much for all of
Yes.
you guys who are so consistent with that and giving your honest feedback. And so continue to do that. And as you share, it changes the algorithm, and it might change somebody's life when maybe one of our conversations pops up in somebody else's feed and they needed it at that moment, because
Right.
it does for us too, like with
Yep.
Kaylee or
Yep.
other people that pop up in our feed.
And I'm sorry, were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm done.
We talk about Suzanne quite a bit. I think we might need to have her on. Just
I thought about asking her to come in today.
Right, and not have a topic, and really not have a topic.
Just to chat.
Just to chat.
And to see what happens.
And just to let it go, because I think our audience would love that energy, because she really,
we talk about it so much.
she
yeah.
fills
Talk
the
about rabbit holes
space with just this energy that just is
And her infectious
yes,
laugh.
and the laugh, yeah. So just like we have fun when Judy comes to visit, or we have Judy on board, with a conversation. We love those moments where we just sit around and just have no topic at hand and we just talk, and that's the beauty.
That
in
was
it.
the point of this.
That's
Yes.
the point of this.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, hopefully all of this information was helpful to you as you move through and navigate your February. And for those of you who might be having some difficulties or a situation, hopefully some of the card readings helped you in that area and you recognize yourself and your situation. Feel free to share in the comments if you want to.
Or reach out to us individually
Yep.
if you feel guided.
Yep.
Right. So thanks again for being with us on another episode of Out on a Limb podcast. Until next time.
See y'all.